Shouldn't be too long. I think we're just getting ready while we wait for maybe 1 or 2 people to get into the lobby. So it shouldn't be too long now at all. So go ahead, skip to the intro. But if you are watching live, more than welcome to stay and have a chat while we wait for the drivers to ready up. Got people in. Yo, well done. That is a pretty good result. Second place, not bad at all. So well done. And it's nice for you to come in and check in on the Tier 1 stream as well. Hopefully it's going to be just as much of an exciting race. Fingers crossed. But we will certainly see. I think we are actually getting ourselves underway. In fact, as the countdown does click down, just give me one moment. Corey in the Mercedes. Wow, I didn't even realise that. Well, fair enough. I think we are actually going to get underway. So, well, with pre-season done and dusted, it's that time where we start anew. The tables are reset. The drivers come into this new season, this new game, and this new era with a clean slate, and with it all to prove. That is right, RRL Tier 1 returns for an all-new season. F1 2021 brings a plethora of new challenges. With unstable curbs ready to spit you out in an instant, our drivers are going to need to be on their toes throughout the season ahead. After a long wait, with the drivers sitting anxiously, raring to go for the long, enthralling season in front of us, we can finally say we are here for round number 1 and the Bahrain Grand Prix. With the pecking order still to be established, I cannot wait to see who stands where in the chase for the sought-after Tier 1 crown. As always, I'm Zach Sweeney, your commentator for RRL, talking you through all the action tonight. With quali underway shortly, let's buckle up and get ready. A new era of RRL starts right here, and I certainly cannot wait to see the pecking order ahead of us. Let's see where everyone is. Of course, we've had pre-season. We had the final race on F1 2020, which sort of gave us a rough idea of where everyone is, but still not at all established whatsoever in Bahrain. A very challenging circuit. It's going to be, well, it's going to be something. We've got people in different teams. We've got Koru in the Mercedes. With the F2 streams, I'm not sure. I get told to do Tier 1, so that's that. But maybe, who knows, we could maybe when Ollie comes on, we can get him to do the F2 streams. I'm not entirely sure, but nonetheless, we've got full qualifying ahead of us: Q1, Q2, and Q3. If you don't know how that works, in Q1 the top 15 go through to Q2 the top 10 go through, and the top 10 of course have to start on the tyre. They set their fastest lap in on Q2, and then of course Q3 is the shootout for pole position. That sets out the top 10 grid slots ahead of the race. It's all out, fast as you can, balls to the wall. Everything on the table for Q3, and it's probably one of the most exciting qualifying sessions. Q1 more just an acclimatization session, to be honest. A lot of people use this session for a bit of practice, unless you're sort of one of maybe the people towards the back end. But if you're one of those at the front, definitely use Q1 as just a session, rubbing the tyres, get used to the track, warm yourself up a little bit. Because with only 17 drivers, I say only 17, it's a decent amount of people, but with only 2 people going out, you don't have that high of a probability of actually getting out of qualifying. So we're on board with Delta in the Haas. Let's see how he tames the Bahrain circuit today. Of course, you've got your challenges at Bahrain. You've got it all. Of course, you've got the heavy braking zone of turn 1 and the final corner, of course, of turn 15. And then, of course, you've got the very challenging uphill section. Like Delta is now coming in through turn 12, up the hill through 11 and 12 and 13. You've just completely flat out, but touch that curb and you've been sent round. Turn 14, slam on the brakes. It's a very challenging circuit. It's got it all, really. And Bahrain, definitely a breeding ground for great racing. But Delta now approaching the final corner to start his first flying lap of the session and of the season. Let's see how he gets on. I'm going to expect maybe our top guys such as Koru, LB, and those sort of people to be up there in the 25s, low 26s at the very least. But Delta now coming towards turn 1, looking for the left-hand side just before the 100 board, breaking a straight line down to second gear. Trail brake it in, use the camber on the inside of turn 1, hit a nice apex. Don't do that. That is certainly less than ideal. You want to be a little bit more smooth than the Haas is being right there of Delta, and I don't think that's going to be the best way to negotiate sector 1. Coming towards turn 4, roll it through, brake just after the 100, third gear, and then clip a nice early-ish apex to get the power down. 28.3, definitely not the best. Through turn 5, 6 and 7, pretty nicely negotiated there. Brake pretty much as soon as you're in a straight line. Don't upshift to 4th when you're braking. That's probably not the best idea. But who else have we got on a lap? We've got Zabrait in the other Haas. Let's see how much of a better job he can be doing towards turn 4. Braking nice in a straight line. Third gear, roll the car through. Build up the power, build up the confidence. 27.9, that's a little bit better than his teammate. Flat through turn 7 if you can nail it. Don't want to run over that curb, really unsettles the car. Straight line braking for turn 8. Clip a nice apex, second gear, roll it out to the curb. Make sure you use every extremity of the track you possibly can. Downhill braking for turn 9 and 10. Very easy to lock up if you are running no ABS. And you just have to be extremely careful not to. Down this back, DRS straight towards turn 11. Zabrait on a pretty clean lap so far. Braking pretty much in just before the 50 for turn 11. Fourth gear, roll it through, run it out to the track. Delta 27.7, yeah, not the best time. In all honesty, from the Haas. Watkins, Zabrait do 106.1 to the first sector. Koru and LB both on an out lap. They'll probably be one of the most interesting people to watch in qualifying. But of course, as long as it's good enough to get you through to the next session, that's all that matters. Zabrait now coming through the final couple of corners. Taylor Hammers smashes that out of the park. A 126.1 for the man in the Mercedes. And across the line, Zabrait goes into P3. 1/10 down on his teammates, so the two Haas guys very close. As Taylor Hammers sets the pace early, sets the benchmark. Gregor's even quicker, 25.9. The first man into the 25s in the Aston Martin, and I'd say that is very, very much safe going into the next session. Steve, 40.0. I'm going to guess that was more of a second installation up than anything. We've got Koru out there, 27.8, and Purple to the first sector. Mercedes, yeah, I think a lot of these guys are just trying to get used to the track, settle into the new season, into the new game and everything, and try and build up the confidence, mainly because you do need a lot of confidence here in Bahrain. And just slowly build up. It takes a lot of rhythm to actually be quick here. Koru, last season, definitely a championship contender, just missed out on the title to Kiernan, who oh no, I can see him. He is here. He's racing for either Williams or Alpine. Can't quite tell. Purple for Koru to the middle sector. This looking like a pretty good time so far. Just needs to keep it clean for the final two corners. You can see using all of the track to open up the angle of the corner into the final couple of turns. 15 and 16. 16 not really a corner if you get 15 absolutely right. DRS open on the run towards the line. It's P3 with a 26.3 for Koru. And I think there's a little bit more time in the bank for him as Drio comes in P4, 26.5. So Drio definitely looking pretty good. Carmine 27.0 as Zabrait finally clips his teammate, 27.5 for him on his second run. LB in the Alpine. Did very well, did Alpine in real life today for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Let's see if LB can replicate that success. Towards turn number 8, Purple to the first sector according to the game. Not quite sure it matches up with Koru or Gregor's time. But towards turn 9, goes a little bit wide. You don't really fancy touching that curb on the right hand side there, as Daniel goes into P4 ahead of his Alfa Romeo teammate with a 26.3, so very close at the front of the field, but at the moment it's still Gregor's that tops the session. So Q1 probably just wanted to see where the front runners are in terms of the pecking order, and I think probably the front 6 maybe are going to be safe. LB 105.0 matches Koru to the middle sector. So not at all on a bad lap is this Alpine. A couple more drivers still to set a lap time as well. Alpine coming into the final corner using all that track, running 2 wheels all the way to the edge of that curb. Short shift up to 4th and 5th gear. DRS open, short run to the line, straight line it. Where's he going to put him? It's P6 at the moment with a 26.474 for LB. for his first lap in Q1. Who else have we got setting at a lap time? We've got Mad out and an out lap. We've got Steve going again, and Mad going for a little bit of a spin on the exit of turn 1. Lit up the rears a little bit too much, and finds himself having to reverse back onto the track. Luckily, no one's coming through on a flying lap. And he spins again, he goes round again, does the Red Bull, and we're catching all these bottles on stream as he stops on track and waits for the Alfa Romeo to come and join him on the grass. They're having a bit of maybe a tea date or something. But Mad pulling back onto the circuit, and we've caught all of that, so he's got a world of embarrassment heading his way when he watches the stream back. Jamie finally puts in a representative time, goes into P6 with a 27.3. Ben Finch coming in the Williams with a 26.2, so extremely close at the front. You can see Hammers, Eric and Corey separated by pretty much nothing. Even then, Jamie and Daniel and Drio not far off. The same can be said about LB, so about 5/10 covering the top 10, top 9, sorry, because Carmine's a little bit further back. So 5/10 covering the top 9. Couldn't ask for much closer than that, in all honesty. With, I think, Kiernan now heading out onto his outlap. He's in the Williams. There's too many blues in F1 2021. You've got the Alpine, the Red Bull, the Mercedes, and the Williams. You've got 4. LB goes quickest, 25.722. Puts in a second lap on those soft compound tyres and just about pips Gregor's by a couple of tenths or so. But the Aston Martin's certainly looking strong. But let's see what Kiernan can do. He's out on his outlap at the moment, so we'll check back with him in a minute. Drio, I think on a cool down lap. Ben Finch as well, probably on a cool down lap. So yeah, LB in the Alpine looking good. Who's the other Alpine? I think it's Drizzy. So let's see what Drizzy can do. Let's see if he can match his teammate running a very nice, I believe that's the number 19. It's a very good number, number 19. To the right hand side is the Alfa Romeo, I believe, pulling over. Kiernan looking to start his lap, but we'll go on board with the Alpine of Drizzy, who looks to maybe even try and get close to his teammate LB. Remember, a championship contender on F1 2020 and comes into 2021 looking relatively strong as well. But can his teammate match him? That's always your first goal in Formula 1, is to match and beat your teammate, because they're the closest to you. Even with the equal performance, it's always good to be there with your teammate, be equal pegging, because it's always good for the constructors. As Drizzy hooks up turn 1 and 2 very nicely into turn 4. Again, pretty much perfect, spot on. Hits a nice apex, rolling it through towards the S's. 27.7 and purple to the first sector for Drizzy. He is looking pretty good, runs the track all the way to the outside, and again for turn 8, really hooking this up nicely. This is a gorgeous lap so far, but he's still got half a lap left remaining. Straight back to Bahrain. Yep, we've got the double whammy for Bahrain tonight. But at least I'm not messing up the corner names, because I'm used to it by now. A great race earlier on for the AP guys, and hopefully just as good a one for the RRL guys. Drizzy hooking up this lap pretty well. Up the hill, turn 12 and 13. And again, pretty good. 104.6 to the middle sector. That's around about 4 tenths or so quicker than Koru. So this is definitely up there with Gregor's, Eric and LB in terms of pure pace. The Alpine hooking this up pretty well. Coming into the final corner, third gear, fourth gear. Don't really want to touch that inside curb. You saw the car go for a bit of a hop, skip and a jump over that curb. You sort of just want to cruise round. P2 for Drizzy. So it's an Alpine 1-2 in Q1 with 7 minutes to go. And just over a tenth off his teammate. So the Alpine's very strong. It's a 1-2 for Alpine, a 3-4 for Aston Martin, and then a 5-6 for Mercedes and Williams. Kiernan, let's check back in with him. How's his lap getting on? 104.6 to the middle sector. Now crossing the line, DRS open. What's it going to be for Kiernan, our reigning champion? It's P2 and matches LB with a 1:25.780. So just over half a tenth between Kiernan and LB, the two championship protagonists, you would say, coming into this season alongside Koru, arguably. I'm not too sure. I mean, there's 17 drivers, which isn't at all bad, considering for the season finale we had around 9 or so. So 17, not bad at all. We can definitely work with 17. But 6 minutes left in this qualifying session. And at the moment, it's Mad and Daft in the drop zone, as they won't be making it through into Q2. But yet to set a lap time, I would say the drop point, Steve probably isn't safe, neither's a Brait. So those two probably were going to want to get out and go in again if they want to participate further in qualifying. Koru out on another lap on his already used soft tyres. Yeah, they're the same tyres he set his fastest with, so he's using these soft tyres, dragging every tiny little bit of life he can get out of them towards turn 4. Clips a nice apex. That was pretty good. He's low on fuel though, so confusion as to why he's going for another lap. I don't think he's actually going for another lap. And the like on the stream. Brilliant, Pals. Can always count on you to do that. And I think everyone else should definitely follow suit with what Pals has done. Set an example, lead by example. Definitely a great thing to do. If you like the stream, that would be greatly appreciated. Of course, if you are enjoying it, no need to if you aren't, but I hope you are, certainly. Koru, yeah, I think he's on a cooldown lap. Kiernan up into P2 still in the Williams, so pace looking good early between LB, Kiernan, Drizzy and Gregors, separated by only a couple of tenths. Eric as well, only a couple of tenths back. Can always count on Pals. I'll send the signed photo as soon as I can. But I think everyone apart from Ausmad and Daft, yep, still waiting for these two to set a lap. Ausmad on his lap now, coming towards sector 1. 28.3, not the best, and certainly not purple as the map deceives you there and goes over the curb. And as I was saying earlier, that is the consequence for running a little bit too wide off the exit of turn 7. You just find yourself spinning around and, yeah, you can hardly recover it. That's a second spin for Ausmad in this qualifying session. And just got over that curb a little bit too much. And as a result, the floor scrapes, you bottom out and it spins out, and yeah, it's a shame. And he's Tokyo drifting around turn 10. That was a very respectable save. Manages to carry on, and I don't think he's going to be looking forward to driving on these sets of tyres anytime soon. Oh, goes backwards in towards turn 11 as well. Maybe lock the rears. So yeah, he's not having a pleasant time out there, Ausmad. But he's got the rest of qualifying and of course 29 laps in the race to deal with. He goes for another spin. Those tyres are going to be screaming for help. He goes all the way backwards into the gravel trap. Well, that is he burns the rear tyre. He spins them up as well. Absolutely lights up the rears, does Ausmad. So he's gone through, I think, 2 sets of tyres now. He's got 3 sets of softs and 1 set of mediums to use throughout qualifying, excluding the free set of softs you get if you make it to Q3. He goes for another spin. These softs are definitely going to be screaming out for a bit of help, I think, as Drizzy comes out on an outlap. Quite confused as to why he's doing that. Why not just save an extra set of soft tyres if you might need them for the race? Of course, the conventional strategy around Bahrain is usually mediums to hards. You can get away with a soft medium. Mazepin probably him in disguise. With Steve now heading out, he's not comfortable with his time, so wants to try and improve in the Ferrari. So Steve starting his lap in the Ferrari in his new team. Was of course in the Renault, I believe, last season. Joins Ferrari for the new season, coming towards turn 1. Let's see how well he... A little bit twitchy on the steering wheel. You see he had to make an adjustment under brake and wasn't quite smooth going in, but and well over the curve through turn 3. That might unsettle the car a little bit, but he minimises the distance travelled. And towards turn 4, didn't quite maximise the entry angle, didn't open it up quite as much as he probably could have. But he is at 1 and a bit tenths up to his previous best time. Riding these curves through the S is not the best thing to do. Nearly getting himself caught up over that curb. Goes a bit deep for turn 8. Has to bring it back. You can see not in a straight line and really going in hot there. So Steve not on the best lap compared to the people in front of him, but probably still up on his previous best of a 28.1. Maybe needs to just find some fluidity. A flow always helps around Bahrain. If you can just get into a nice easy flow, and once you build up the rhythm, you are pretty set around here, and it is very difficult to get it back going again once you do lose it. So Steve rounding off sector 2, 3 tenths up on his previous best. Not good enough at the moment to improve his position, but it might solidify him into Q2 if he can just hang on. And Steve now across the line with 1 minute left to go in qualifying 1. We've got a couple of people still out on their outlap. Steve improves his best time, goes to a 27.6 to try and solidify his place into Q2, and I think unless Almazmad can bring in a worldie of a lap at the dying stages, Daft's not out, so I think he is going to be out of qualifying as he cannot make it round the lap. Whether that's for a qualifying ban or something along those lines, or just feeling, you know, why not just start at the back of the grid, because why not? Always fun to do that, see where you can end up. Definitely more action filled if you can try and cut your way through the field. But Almazmad now approaching the final couple of corners. Let's see if he can get through a lap without spinning. Drizzy as well on his flying lap. Not quite sure why he's gone for a fresh set of softs. Daft's internet went. That is probably why then, isn't it? And that is probably why he's going to be out of qualifying. Almazmad now starting his lap on his third set of soft tyres towards turn 1. Pump braking, really interesting. Really interesting method going through turn 1 there. You often see a lot of people do it. And it is relatively effective. Almazmad 28-1 to the first sector. Definitely up there with the midfield, I would say, as the checker flag is out. But he repeats his mistake. Deja vu, goes over that curb, gets it all wrong, and is then backwards into the wall for turn 8 as he almost gets in the way of Drizzy there. Coming through, Drizzy was actually up on his time. Maybe got a little bit surprised by the Red Bull that was spinning right in front of his face. So Drizzy, purple to the middle sector, 2 and a bit tenths up on his time. I think this is more just for him to try and show his pace a little bit better. Daniel goes into P3 with a 25.7, so the top 3 in the same tenth of a second, and Drizzy might just be able to beat that by a couple of tenths across the line. It's going to be a 25.5 to end Q1 with, and goes fastest. Drizzy definitely setting the pace early in the Alpine. The Alpines both looking strong, locking out the front row in Q1 as we go into Q2. But it is Drizzy that tops the session. A 125.5 is the benchmark for Q2 and 3. LB, his teammate in P2 with Kiernan P3. Daniel P4. Greg is P5 with Eric in P6. The two Mercedes then line up 7th and 8th with Ben Finch in P9. Jamie P10. Drio P11. Zabrate P12. Carmani P13. Delta P14. Stephen P15. And with Almazmad not being able to set a time and the Daft's internet crashing, those two are now out of qualifying. That is qualifying 1 in the books. We now head and look forward for Q2 and 3. In just a couple of moments' time. Q2 probably one of the most important qualifying sessions of the 3. Sets the strategy up, and those in P11 probably have a very good shot of a midfield fight. So maybe if you don't quite scrape into Q3, all's not over just yet, because P11, free choice of tyre, and right on the cusp of the top 10, so not bad at all. First man to head out, it's Koru on the soft compound tyre, and not something you often conventionally see. I can't actually quite see the... Oh my god, it is, isn't it? It's Dr. Lu. Yeah, no, I am... See, because the I and the L are just like... Because the I is just so awkward, but we'll call him Lu. Should we say Lu? From now on, let's say Lu. We'll go with Lu for Drio. See, because it looks like an I. It looks like that the L is the dot for an I, but obviously not. And yeah, apologies for Lu for that one. But I'll try and get myself accustomed to calling him that. Koru out on track then on the soft compound tyres. Greg is going for the mediums. Same with the Zabrate. Carmani and a Delta have them fitted also. So these guys looking to go for an aggressive 2-stop in the race. Yeah, no, thank you for correcting me. I do appreciate it. See, I did always think that. I was like, am I saying his name right? But it's just so awkward. I thought I'd play it safe. But nonetheless, we'll scrap it away now. Koru on his first flying lap on the soft compound tyres, as I've said, yeah. Probably going for a 2-stop in the race then if he's going to qualify on softs in Q2. And those on the mediums, if they are going for the medium run, I would wait until the sort of the later stages of the session where the track is a little bit more rubbered in. Nonetheless, Koru in the Mercedes, around about P7 in Q1. Where can he put himself in Q2? This is his first flyer. First gear for turn 1, short shifts up to third to build up the traction. Now almost flat through turn 2. That's more of a confidence thing to how quickly you can build up the throttle. Flat through turn 3, up the hill towards 4, open up the corner. Third gear, roll it through on the brakes. Short shift to fourth, get the power down, run it all the way to the curb. Spartan's flying as he's practically touching the floor. Nice of the Williams to move out of the way there, or the Alpine. One of the two, but a very good first sector for Koru. Through turn 8, short shift to third, get the power down as quickly as you can. Koru on a pretty tidy lap here. LB as well on the softs. So the majority of the field, in fact, on the soft compound tyres, bar a couple of people. DRS open for Koru. As Gregors has retired from the session. Gregors, I believe, has maybe spun. Yep. And in the wall, buried it in the wall going into turn 8. Probably got himself over the curb a little bit too much there, and that's a very easy mistake to do. So he is out of qualifying and will start 15th. But a 1:04.8 for Koru, already beaten his Q1 time. And through the final corner, Zabrate as well, another victim claimed, I believe by turn 13 into 14, has retired from the session. Across the line, Koru, 26.1, not a bad time whatsoever, and is on the soft compound tyre. Should maybe be good enough for a top 10. I'm not quite sure where everyone else stands though. Carmani out on the mediums as well, but Taylor Hammer's going for the mediums. So both Mercedes going aggressive with the 2-stop as Taylor's interesting line through turn 10, to certainly say the least. Coming towards turn 11, Taylor running it out to the extremities of the circuit, trying to make that car use every tiny bit of track he can, maximise every little thing, because it's the marginal things in Formula 1 that count. Maybe that's a little bit over the margins, but he got away with it. Purple to the middle sector for Taylor, as Jamie and Delta settle in with their times, 26.9 and 28.5 respectively for second and third. Taylor, DRS open, cross to the line. What's it going to be? It's going to be a 25.6. Absolutely astonishing lap there, almost as quick as Drizzy in Q1. Not quite though, about a 10th off. So definitely a shame for Gregors, I think. Yeah, curbs. I thought it would be down to curbs. Or we've got Lou, previously dubbed Drio, but Lou out on an out lap on the softs. Carmani out on the mediums now, starting his lap. Not the best Q1 showing from the Red Bull. Neither from his teammate. Gets it stopped for turn 1 just about. Fair enough. Very late on the brakes through turn 2 and 3. Picking it up pretty nicely towards turn 4. Opening up the corner. Third gear, roll it through. Build up the throttle. That was pretty good. Carmani looking good on his medium compound tyre. 27.9 to the first sector despite being on the mediums. Not bad at all. Clips that curb through turn 7 though. That's not going to help him. Turn 8, got to line it up. And then down the hill through 9. Daniel, 26.5 on the softs. Another one to settle in. But at the moment, the Mercedes 1-2, 9 minutes left to go in qualifying. And, well, we've got Drizzy out on the mediums as well. So at the moment, that's 3 people looking to go for the mediums. That's very wide for Carmani and probably ruined his lap. Hasn't invalidated it, but he's still got a couple of corners left to go to just set a lap. No, he's going to back off, in fact, I think. Yeah. But we've got Drizzy now starting the lap. He's getting a nice tow from his teammate. That is very nice team play from LB to help him out there. And on those softs, he should be quicker. So it's just nice of him to help out Drizzy on the mediums. Split strategies for the Alpines then. He's got a nice DRS and slipstream This is really going to help his time. Just needs to hope that he doesn't get held up by his teammate nor caught up in the dirty, turbulent air of his teammate in front. That's definitely going to come clear in this middle S section. 27.8 to the first sector, hooking it up pretty nicely. And I think LB actually is holding him up a little bit here because Drizzy wants to get a bit of a move on. He's very quick in that Alpine car, especially here in Bahrain. Down the gears towards turn 10, roll it through. The Alpines definitely looking very strong, locking out the front in Q1 and both looking pretty good on their laps here in Q2. Drizzy with this toe should be pretty comfortable into the top 10 on those mediums, and that will help him out a lot in the race if he can start the race on those mediums. Go for a more comfortable one-stop strategy. 105.2 to the middle sector, not bad at all. Should be going for a decent 126, a low 126 at the very least. Tucked up behind LB, they both negotiate this lap pretty well. I'm going to say both Alpines easily into the top 10. LB going to cross the line first. Where does he put it? Puts a P5. Drizzy just beats him to that. 26.7 for Drizzy and a 26.8 for LB on the soft. So I would say Drizzy probably definitely relatively comfortable into the top 10 on those mediums, and that will help him out a lot in the race. Kiernan out with a 104.9 on the soft compound tyre. Eric going into P2, 25.7 on those soft compound tyres. So it's still Taylor that leads the way from Eric and Koru in the top 3. Daniel then a 4/10 back or so with Lou in P6. Kiernan now going to set the pace on his soft tyres. Across the line, it's P4 with a 26.1. Just etching himself ahead of Koru. And on the soft, so Drizzy dropped down at 2P8 with Jamie out on an out lap to try and improve. Steve yet to set a lap time. He's out there to do that now. Carmine again still yet to set a lap time. 27.7 to the first sector, I believe, from Steve. So not bad at all on these softs. Rolling it through turn 8. Very big slide though. He's just about managed to catch that, but he's going to have to bail off this lap surely. But it's a lap nonetheless. If he can get round and get himself into the top 10, he's going to need to try. Let's see what JB Steve does to the middle sector. 107.2. Yeah, that spin or half spin definitely costing him quite a bit of time. As you would expect from going sideways out of a heavy traction zone, it does cost you quite a bit of time, surprise, surprise. But our top, second down to fifth still out on track. I think Ben Finch going for another lap, and he has put himself into P2 with a 25.711, very close, and exactly a tenth of a second off the leader of Taylor. As JB can only settle for P12. Carmine out on a lap as well. In the Red Bull, Ben Finch definitely showing strong, and it's a very close qualifying session so far between the usual front runners of Ben, LB, Kiernan, Koru, Daniel. All of them lot, I think, definitely have a good shot. Don't count out Drizzy either. He's going to be looking very quick. Taylor Hammers as well. I'd say anyone out of the top 9 at the moment has a good shot for a decent position. I think it's going to be very marginal stuff between all of them into Q3. Provided all of them make it into Q3. Drizzy maybe a little bit touch and go on those mediums, but I would say provided Carmine doesn't knock him down any further, I'd say he's pretty safe. I don't see Delta or Steve beating Drizzy's time. No disrespect to them, of course. I just think Drizzy has set an absolute a pretty decent time on those mediums. He has indeed, though, fitted the soft compound tyres, so it doesn't feel safe on the mediums. And wants to go out on the softs. I would advise against that personally. I think if he can scrape through on the mediums, that would be pretty good, and he would be on the best strategy of the top 10. But Carmine across the line puts it P11. He hasn't even beaten Drizzy, so I think Drizzy is relatively safe unless he's going out for a safety lap. He's going to go out, improve upon his time, and if he doesn't need to, he can back off for the last second and not start on the soft tyres, but at least he's got it in hand. But I don't know. I wouldn't do. I think Drizzy's actually safe into Q3 at the moment. He's got around about about 5 tenths in hand to Kamani, and set his time on the mediums. So in all honesty, if I was Drizzy, I would stay on the mediums and just hold that strategy to be the best one out of the top 10 to actually be on the medium strategy. But who knows? He probably knows better than I do. He's definitely a lot quicker than I am. but in my experience, I've seen that the medium to hard strategy works a lot better if you've got the pace, and Drizzy certainly does not lack the pace, and would make either strategy work, I'm sure. But maybe he lacks the tyre degradation. Maybe the tyre deg is not optimal on his setup and needs to go for that more aggressive two-stop. Who knows what's going through Drizzy's mind, but nonetheless, he's definitely got the pace to do either strategy and make it relatively work. And well, he's not the only one to go onto the softs. It's not like he's by himself and doing it. 2 minutes and 40 seconds left to go in this session. And at the moment, we're going to lose Carmine, Delta, Steve, Gregerson's a break from this session. Carmine, Delta and Steve looking to improve to a 26.9 to get themselves out of that drop zone. Drizzy starting his lap then on these softs. Let's see what he can do. Can he match his Q1 time? It was a very blisteringly quick Q1 lap time from Drizzy, so I very much doubt we'll see anyone get near it. I mean, Taylor is only a 10th off it, so who knows? We'll have to wait and see with Drizzy secure into the top 10, but wants to feel a little bit more secure, I suppose. Comes towards sector 1, is about 1.5 tenths quicker, 27.7. Towards turn 8, rolling it through second gear, third gear, get the traction, very nicely done from the Alpine. Towards turn 9 and 10, downhill braking. Trail brake is so important to trail brake here. Through turn 9 and 10, because if you lock up those fronts or rears, you're either going to go straight on or you're going to spin and cause a little bit of a pile up, which is going to be less than ideal for both your race and those around you, and of course ruin your lap in qualifying. So got to be very balancing on the brake pressure. Drizzy almost tapping that curb and going around. 6 tenths and purple to the middle sector. Let's see what he can do. There's LB, his teammate, pulled over to the right hand side, letting him through into towards the final corner, jumps over that curb, shortest distance to the line, try and get the power as quickly as you possibly can. He is going to improve on his time and is going to commit to starting on the softs to 25.877 for Drizzy, just settling in ahead of his teammate LB, who is going to start his final lap with just 1 minute left in qualifying. Blitzing past us there, Carmine, that was an amazing camera angle, really shows and puts into perspective the sheer speed of Formula 1 cars as Carmine taking a very interesting line to get himself around the track a little bit quicker. I don't think he's actually going to be able to make it. No, I don't think he will. And I think Drizzy would have been safe through to qualifying 3 on the mediums. Because Carmine is not going to make it round. Jamie is only one person, so I think Drizzy would have gotten through in P10. Delta and Steve both in the pit lane. So Drizzy had a very good opportunity to start on the optimal tyres there, but chose not to, chose to go for the softs and just match those in front of him. And now just going to marginally make it to the line. Carmine definitely not going to make it. 2-1, and the checker flag is out and waved. So Jamie, Drizzy and LB are those we're waiting for. I think it's just Jamie and Lou on a flying lap. Lou is out and is about half a tenth quicker on his previous best time, trying to secure himself into the top 10. I don't think that is actually particularly necessary, but 4 tenths for Jamie in the first sector alone. That's a very quick lap time, and 4 tenths in the first sector alone is already good enough to put him up well, not actually a position, but certainly a good start. And if you can slowly creep that down through the second and third sector, you could be on for a good lap here. Jamie, definitely not a bad driver by any stretch of the imagination. Shooting down this back straight towards turn 11, 4th gear. Roll it up the hill, completely flat out all the way from here towards turn 14. Looks that up nicely. 8 tenths now to the middle sector, improved. 26.1 at the moment. That's looking good for P7. Solid end to qualifying. Very much secure and safe, but maybe just want some fresher tyres for the race. Now 3rd gear, run to the line. DRS open, and it is around P7, as you can see on the steering wheel there. P7 for the Ferrari then as Q2 draws to a close. But it is Taylor Hammers then that tops the session. 1/10 back is Ben Finch in P2, Daniel Stott in P3, Eric P4, LB in 5th, Drizzy P6 with Jamie in P7, Kinnan P8, Corey in P9 with Lou in P10. Carmine then out of qualifying alongside Delta, Steve and Gregors and Zabrate. All out of this qualifying session. Unfortunately couldn't improve upon their time. So the cut-off point in the end was 26.3, which none of them were particularly close to. So now Q3 coming up very soon, the shootout for pole position. And I think it's going to be extremely, extremely close. Look at the front runners. 5-10 separating those realistically within a shout for pole, I would say. So going to be good. I think we're in for a dramatic end to qualifying. So 12 minutes whacked onto the clock then. This is the final stage of qualifying. Q3 where it all counts. The top 10 now are going to be decided. It's Koru, LB, Jamie, Taylor Hammers, Drizzy, Kiernan, Lou, Eric, Ben and Daniel through and ready to shoot out for pole. Give it everything. Nothing left on the table now. It's all or nothing in this qualifying session. I think we're in for an absolute worldie of a race. Drizzy out now on his first run. I'd say they've got 2 runs with 2 spare soft tyres. Of course they get given 1 for Q3, so I would say 2 runs, 1 now and 1 towards the later stage of the session. But pole predictions, you cannot call it now. Definitely cannot call it now. Because just everyone is so incredibly close. The Alpines look good, Kiernan looks good, both Aston Martins look relatively good. In fact, forgot we actually lost one of the Aston Martins. We lost Gregors in Q2, didn't we, because he had a crash. So it's Eric flying the colours by himself, but he definitely looks good. So yeah, I would definitely put it down that any one of these 10 could go for pole, and I would not expect it to be an extremely close and very climactic end to qualifying. 10 minutes on the clock then, as Koru is actually, in fact, there's going to be Drizzy the first man to set a lap, so we'll talk you through the Q3 lap now. Look into the left hand side just before the 100, slam on the brakes, brake in a straight line down to second gear, roll it through. You want to avoid that curve preferably. You can see really unsettling the car through turn 3, shortest line as possible, keep it flat, DRS open, then up the hill towards turn 4, all over to the left hand side, open up this corner, brake just before the start of that curve, just after the 100, third gear, miss that curve on the inside, but get as close as you can to it through turn 5, and then into 6 and 7, 27.9 to the first sector, not the best, is going to run over that curb, unsettle the car, brake pretty much as soon as you're in a straight line for turn 8, roll it through, nice apex from Drizzy there, gets a good run up the hill, and then you dip back down for turn 9 and 10, brake as much in a straight line as you can, very easy to lock up, second gear, third gear, as you use all the track on the exit, and just need to maximise the exit as best you can, now running towards turn 11, all over to the right hand side just before the 50, around about the 75 mark, fourth gear, roll it through, use the track, bring it back to the left hand side, swoop in completely flat for turn 13, stay away from that inside curve as it does unsettle, 104.6 to the middle sector, Drizzy really hooking the slap up nicely, turn 14, run it all the way to this exit curb and keep it to the left hand side to open up turn 15, and you're looking for the start of the curb just after the 100 board down to third gear, dip down and get as close to that inside curb as possible without actually touching it, keep it to the left, DRS open, first lap for Drizzy, it's a 125.9, not at all bad, with Corey now the second man across the line. What's it going to be for him? It's going to be slightly slower, 125.9 as well with Jamie now across the line. Is it going to be a 125.9? No, it's not. It's going to be a 126.0, but very, very close indeed. Anyone else close? Kiernan, a 125.666 for the Williams driver, who already 2.5 tenths clear and into provisional pole, but still a lot of people yet to set a lap time. We've got Ben Finch now crossing the line. What's he going to do? Only good enough for P5, 26.3 with Daniel now across the line. It's not very representative time. 39.8 with LB now in the second Alpine. Very decent middle sector. King Eric getting a nice slipstream across the line. So 25.6 and a purple final sector matching Kiernan with who's that? Just behind. King Eric goes into P7. Again, not a representative lap time. Lou now across the line. DRS open. What can he do? 26.1 puts it in 6th, so very close already. Taylor Hammer's now going to be the last man to drop to finish his lap. Looked like a good middle sector, and across the line it's going to be a 25.5, and pole position as now everyone has set their first proper lap, well, bar 2 of Eric and Daniel, but less than a second separating the top 10, or realistically the top 10, as Taylor goes for a lovely little spin. Just manages to keep it out the wall coming off of turn 2 there. But it is very close. Taylor leads the way. Kiernan and LB separated by virtually nothing. And then Corey only a couple of hundredths back. Drizzy as well, only a couple of hundredths back. Corey settling in nice into P4 in his second run. And with 6 minutes left to go in qualifying, probably got one more lap left in the tank. Or one more set of tyres left in the tank. Could be extremely close. So I think Corey doesn't have the energy at all to be going for another lap, surely not. So yeah, everyone slowly cruising their way around and get themselves into the pit lane. So now 5 minutes left to go. Eric and Corey out on track. Not going to be setting times though. They're just going to be on their in-lap coming in to the pit lane to strap on a fresh set of tyres. Eric cruising around. I don't think he's on a lap. Doesn't look to be on a lap. So everyone in the pits now, just waiting for Eric to come in, and I think they're going to be heading out in a couple of minutes time for their final runs of qualifying 3. Well, it could not be closer. We couldn't have asked for a better qualifying session, could we? Top 10, or well, the top 8 separated by around about 6 tenths or so, and then Ben Finch only a couple of tenths back, and Daniel yet to put in a representative lap time, so it's all or nothing for Daniel in this final lap as the Aston Martin of Eric pulls himself into the pit lane. 4 minutes left in qualifying then. And I think, I don't know, who looks, I think it could be Taylor, Kiernan. I reckon if Drizzy hooks up a lap, he could be very good. Of course, his Q1 time at the moment would be good enough for second. So, as long as he can match what he did in Q1, I think he would be very good. Alpine, is that Drizzy heading out? No, it's LB. In fact, no, it is Drizzy heading out onto the circuit for his final run. He's got strapped on a fresh set of soft compound tyres with 4 minutes left to go. He's going to go for 2 runs, I reckon. One to get himself into the swing of things, taken to the escape road and completely cut in turn 1, which, fair enough, I suppose. Gets you around the track quicker. Doesn't hurt anyone either. Getting towards turn 4. So yeah, Drizzy all through qualifying has looked pretty good, has had the pace, tops Q1 of course, don't forget, and is looking pretty strong. And definitely could have been on the mediums for the start of the race, but instead opted for the softs. Completely at his own discretion. Would have made it through. 25.8 on warm softs, not a bad time at all. About Drizzy, see what he can do on some fresh softs then. Let's see if he can beat that 25.8, because so far around about 5 drivers or so have either matched it or beaten it. And Drizzy not far off either. He's going to have time for 2 runs if he's got the fuel. So all eyes on Drizzy, as I think the rest of the contenders are now heading out onto the circuit. Going to try and set up a good run, 4th gear, to get the power down and shoot himself down this pit straight. DRS wide open, that extra 15 kph as he hurdles his way towards turn 1 for his final couple of laps. His comrades in blue now heading out of the pit lane as well. I think that includes LB. Hooked up at turn 1 pretty nicely. Drizzy now heads up the hill. DRS open for the second of 3 DRS zones here at Bahrain. Really adds to the thrill of the racing. Towards turn 4, brake at 100, roll it through. Very nicely done for Drizzy, as he aims to end off sector 1 5/10 up. Drizzy is on an absolute flyer, and I think he messed up sector 1 on his previous best time, but he's got it all to lose now through the final 2 sectors. This is looking like a really good time for the Alpine driver of Drizzy. Can he stick it on pole like he did in Q1? And can he start the season with an incredible qualifying and then give himself that best position possible? Going in to 29 laps, coming towards turn 11, open up the corner, just before the 50, 4th gear, chuck it in, roll it through, build up the confidence with the power, keep it tight, bring it to the left hand side, completely flat through turn 13, don't touch that curb, that almost unsettled the car. 6, nearly 7 tenths now up on his time. He's looking for a low 25, maybe even dipping into the 24s. Can he gain that much time in the final couple of corners? If he can, that's going to be pretty remarkable. Drizzy now into the final corner for his potentially final run of qualifying 3. Maybe going to go again, DRS open. What's it going to be for Drizzy? Is it going to be a 24? Just out. It's a 25.137 for Drizzy, as he absolutely smashes that time by Taylor out of the park. And well, everyone is going to be eyes on him, I think, and looking to aspire to beat that one. A very good effort from Drizzy, and I think that is going to be his qualifying over. I don't think he can improve much from that. I think he's pretty happy. Pretty content with that one. 25-1. 4 tenths clear of Taylor now, who joins him on the front row provisionally. He's got King Eric right in front of him. And Mercedes going to pick up a lovely little slipstream from the Aston Martin going towards turn 1. That's going to help him out quite a ton. DRS open then. What can Taylor do? What can Kiernan do as he goes through turn 4? LB as well. Corey won his final lap. He's 2 tenths up, and already that's going to be good enough for P2 if he can keep it up. Eric looking pretty good. Jamie out on his lap. He's purple to the middle sector. He's nearly 6 tenths up on his time. 6 tenths. That's going to be a 25.4. Where can Jamie stick it in qualifying 3? It's going to be his final run, as the checker flag will be dropped by the time he reaches the line. 4th gear, 3rd gear, roll it through. Bit of a mistake into the final corner for Jamie in the Ferrari. He's not been pretty much anywhere in qualifying, but where can he stick it in the dying stages of Q3? It's P2 with a 25.3 with Taylor's down in the middle sector. What can Kiernan do? He's going to be one of the next across the line. Same with Ben Finch. There's a spinner. Ben Finch is purple to the middle sector. A second up, a 25.3 he's on for. This is going to be an absolutely manic closing stage of this qualifying session. I think everyone's going to be within a couple of tenths of each other. Drizzy at the moment has set the pace. Jamie in P2. Ben Finch now about to cross the line. What's it going to be for Ben? It's P2. A 25.1 matches Drizzy. Taylor hammers now. What is he done to the middle sector? And Kiernan as well as he crosses the line. It's going to be P3 for Kiernan. Can't quite improve. Taylor hammers a little bit down. Tries to run the track all the way to the exit. Jamie's been knocked down to the back of the second row. I don't think Taylor's going to be able to improve. LB also can't improve on his time. Koru into the pit lane. Eric now on the run to the line. It's Daniel and Lou that make up the back of the top 10. Eric only P6. Taylor manages to get himself into P4, but look how close everyone is as we bring qualifying to a close. It's Drizzy on pole, matched by Ben Finch in the Williams. Less than half a tenth of a second. That's a fraction of a blink of an eye. Or, well, yeah, just about a blink of an eye, half a tenth of a second between those two. And, wow. In the dying stages of Q3, we were definitely not disappointed one bit. But after, well, a very intense qualifying 3, Drizzy takes pole then, a 125.137. He's joined by Ben Finch on the front row with Kiernan in P3. Taylor hammers in P4. The Ferrari of Jamie makes it P5 with King Eric in P6. LB didn't quite get the best end to qualifying that he'd have hoped for. He starts P7. Corey P8 with Daniel in P9 and Lou rounding off the top 10 in P10 with a 126.191, very close to getting himself into P9, and of course Corey not too far in front either, but 1 second covering the top 10. The average is at about a tenth between each position, and it's just so incredibly close between everyone. You couldn't write this stuff. If you handed this to Hollywood, they would probably tear it up and say no one would believe you, because a very, very close end to qualifying. Oh, as I've completely forgot to turn my audio down as I click back onto the stream though, but we got ourselves ready then, ahead of 29 laps of the Bahrain Grand Prix. Been talking so much and we haven't even started the race yet. As we go to 5 red lights, I think we are not going to have a formation lap. We're going to go straight to the race. I think we are. Lights out and we're underway in racing. It's a great start for the Polestar. It gets a bit of squirmy, and the Williams looking to the inside already. Ben Finch pulling to the inside. I think Drizzy trying to squeeze him all the way, but into turn 1, and the Williams leads, and the other Williams is going to get him as well around the outside. I think Drizzy's been absolutely swamped now as the Ferrari of Jamie looks up the inside of Taylor Hammers. They all get through turn 1, 2 and 3 cleanly, but it is Ben that leads the way from Kiernan, and Drizzy looking to come back at him and towards turn 4. The Mercedes languishing in the background. There's yellow flags through sector 1. Ours Mad has gone round already, I think, as Taylor's putting the pressure on. LB looking to make a move on Daniel, who's had an absolutely blitzing start, up into P6 already. LB a little bit swallowed, but Daniel's been sent round and he's spun on the curb and he's facing backwards. There's no flags through sector 1 because of that spin, and around the outside goes Gregor's already up into P11 after his poor qualifying result, but he's not waiting around at all. He's on the optimal strategy, and what an intense start already. Was not expecting us to be dropped straight into this race. Carmani, there's contact between the Aston and the Haas, and I think Lou is going to get the switch back on all 3 of them, maybe 2 of them at the very least, up into the top 10 again for Lou, but he's going to run side by side with Lima Delta into turn 11. And just about edges himself ahead, does Lou, but Gregor's yet completely swamped there. He had a great start, but he's going to have to settle, and he may have a little bit of damage to his front wing. No visible damage for the time being, but at the front, I think Daniel's gone for another spin as well. He's stuck here at turn 13, can't get himself going again as Ours Mad retires from the session. A big crash for Ours Mad, in fact, and a virtual safety car, a VSC, so all drivers having to slow down and adhere to a 40% race speed delta, so they all have to slow down. The race is basically paused. Ours Mad though waited all that time in qualifying and spun on the first lap as Gregors is into the pit lane, probably for a little bit of damage, as the brake gets himself a 5-second penalty. Also hard tyres then for the Aston Martin. All eyes at the front. It's a Williams 1-2. They just got such a good start. The Alpine couldn't quite react to them, and he just got swallowed up. He got initially away well, but just got a little bit sideways off the start, and both Williams managed to put the pressure on and just sweep around the outside, one on the inside, one on the outside, and Drizzy didn't have much to say about that one at all. As we go green once again, good restart for both Williams, who stay ahead of Drizzy, but Taylor putting the pressure on. He wants to get himself onto that podium with Eric on the back of LB as well. Top 7 staying in this train. Predicted pit stop strategy is definitely going to be a 2-stop, soft, medium, medium, or soft, medium, hard. Kinnan just needs to stay within Ben Finch's 1 second range. They're going to get DRS for the next lap round. The drag reduction system is going to really spice things up, as I think all 7 of these guys are going to stay in a nice little train, as everyone down to P8 are all within a second of each other. With Lou getting himself past the DAFs, I believe that might be an AI car. Yeah, he is. He's up into P12, but Ben Finch leads the way. Kiernan, his teammate, great result for Williams so far in this race, as the DAFs is going backwards, and a spin for Delta, I believe. We come on to lap 3. DRS is enabled, and Kiernan has got a little bit of DRS saved up. He's going to have the run on his teammate down towards turn 4 with the aid of DRS. I don't think the reigning champion is going to be one to wait around. I think he's going to want to get to business. He's going to need a good run off turn 3. He's going to have the DRS. He's activated overtake. He's closing at a rate of knots on his teammate. Is it going to be closing enough into turn 4? Don't quite think so, as the Alpine sits behind as well. but the DRS definitely going to keep the top 8 in contention all the way through this race, as the Ferrari goes very wide of Jamie. I think King Eric as well goes very wide, tries to get the move done on LB down the inside into turn 6 and gets the move done. Up into the top 6 goes Eric, and now it's crunch time to get himself back into a second range of Jamie in front, and he does so. Koru in P8 has a front row seat to all of it. LB down to 7th, Eric up to 6th, Jamie into 5th, and Taylor front row seat to this front fight. I think Kiernan is just going to wait for that pit straight, and then by this time get that better run down towards turn 1, maybe even down towards turn 4. We don't know what he's thinking. LB looking to put the pressure already back on to Eric. He's looking around the outside of turn 13, keeps the foot in around the outside. What a move from LB. Takes courage to do that. The Aston Martin's going to come back at him. Still side by side go the Alpine and Aston Martin as they come out of turn 14 and towards turn 15. This little mini straight, which arguably could have a bit of DRS. Are we going to see a change of the lead though? He's tucked up nicely in the slipstream. He's going to have DRS. He's going to use his overtake as he closes at a rate of knots. He sets the fastest lap of this race. He's closing, doesn't even need the ERS, and he's going to pull to the inside towards turn 1. The Williams are going to be fighting side by side for the race lead. Is Ben going to try it around the outside? No, he's not. Kiernan very comfortably into the lead of the race, and Drizzy can't really do much at this stage, so I think Ben is just going to settle in. Big snap of oversteer for Drizzy. He might lose a bit of momentum, but I think Taylor doesn't have the overspeed to stay with him as LB goes around the outside of Jamie towards turn 4. They're going to be 3 abreast, nearly 4 abreast. The Aston Martin trying to find a way through, gets the cutback on 2 of them. The Mercedes round, there's contact with the Ferrari, who's been sent spinning. Corey got in the way a little bit, got a bit squirmy, made contact with the Ferrari, who then got sent round, and Jamie becomes worse off. But Eric, with a great cutback, managed to get 2 of them back, and LB up into 5th. That was very intense racing between those guys in the midfield, but now it's set sights forward and get after Taylor for the top 4. And I don't think Eric wants to fight. Maybe he does, maybe he wants to have that top 5 and not be interested in fighting. But Steve now in front of his teammate. Jamie's got a lot to recover, needs a good launch off turn 10 to get the move done on Steve. And I don't think Steve is going to want to fight this one too hard, because Jamie's fighting at the front. I think Kiernan and Ben are going to be swapping places at the front. Indeed they are. Ben back in front, Taylor getting himself in front of Drizzy. That mistake definitely cost Drizzy out of turn 3 and gave Taylor the advantage. Ben into the lead of the race. Kiernan going to have the DRS though, and he's going to replicate his move. I'm sure that he made a lap previously. DRS open, he's closing. Pulls to the inside though. He doesn't want slipstream. He's not using the slipstream, but he's still closing very quickly. Drizzy not closing enough. Kiernan looking to the inside, settles in for second. The reigning champion playing this long game pretty interestingly. Eric having to defend. Kiernan still not putting the pressure on his teammate either. In the holding station at Williams, trying to extend the gap maybe, as LB is putting the pressure on Eric, but he's burning through all that ERS, but to no avail. Can't get himself back into the top 5. They need to focus on getting themselves back into that train for the top 4, as Gregors again gets himself through with yellow flags in sectors 2 and 3. I think that's Delta round again, unfortunately. With Corey now fighting with LB, still has managed to get onto the back of these guys, so the top 7 sort of breaking free, and Eric leading the charge back towards the top 4. And still, any one of this top 7 could definitely do it. Lap 5 of 29. As these laps are ticking through very quickly. Goes a little bit deep into the turn 11 there. Kiernan and the 2 Williams guys trying to extend the gap at the front. Taylor hammers. Can't quite keep with them, but he's going to have DRS to just close that gap a little bit more, bridge the gap a little bit, and stay with him. And that's the thing with DRS, it's basically a virtual tow hook. You can sort of just latch onto the guy in front, and even if you're maybe 1 or 2 tenths a lap slower, you can still stay with them because of the advantage that DRS gives you. And it does allow for such close racing like we got here. Again, yellow flags. I think that is the 3rd sector, or the end of the 2nd sector, coming in very faithfully, as Kieran going back down the inside of his teammate into turn 1. I think Ben's going to get a lovely little switcheroo, going to be side by side through turn 2, going to go around the outside. Still the 2 Williams cars are going to go side by side up the hill towards turn 4. Taylor's got a front row seat to all of it towards turn 4. Kiernan's going to be on the outside, but backs out of it and gives his teammate the advantage going into turn 4 and towards the S's. Does not want to fight his teammate too hard. They've both got a great result here They do not want to mess it up at all. So Kiernan, the reigning champion, Ben Finch definitely does not have it easy as a teammate, but he's doing well, leading the way and leading the top 4 and maybe even the top 5 as Eric goes massively across the gravel there. Massive slide, 10-second time penalty for corner cutting as he brings it back onto the circuit, but he's managed to get away with that scot-free. Still got a front wing and maybe just a hurt ego with Jamie has retired from the session as he spun out of turn 7. Yes, he has, over the curb and into the barrier. Similar mistake probably to what Eric made there, and a safety car has been brought out, and probably a perfect timing for these guys on the soft tyres, which is pretty interesting to say the least. Safety car now out. It is Ben Finch that leads the way, followed by Kiernan, Taylor and Drizzy. LB is going to be brought right back into this fight then. And which of the front runners are going to come in? The 2 Williams cars surely can't, because I think, yeah, Kiernan is opening up a gap so they can double stack. I think that's the plan, maybe. I think he's not got the gap to double stack, I don't think. And I think Kiernan could lose out quite a bit because of this. He needs to plant the anchors on. They're gonna have to double stack, aren't they, the 2 Williams cars? As Delta gets a drive-through penalty for speeding on the safety car. Taylor could get held up here because of the traffic. He is going to get held up, I reckon. He's bolting on the medium compound tyres. In fact, he gets out cleanly. Luckily, Eric passed just before. And now the Williams going to have to... Oh, that was perfect. That is absolutely perfect for the William guys. Not much in it and not a big stop. Not a big loss at all. But I think the biggest loss is going to be the fact he got held up. But he managed to smoothly get through into his pit box. Comes out just behind Eric because of being held up, and Carmani inherits the race lead. So it's Ben Finch, Taylor, Drizzy, Eric, Kiernan and LB, your provisional top 6 with Koru in the top 7. And again, I've dropped my phone for the second time this stream, but lap 7 of 29 then. The safety car is out if you are just joining us. So far been a pretty entertaining race, and the safety car just going to add to it, I reckon, with Carmani going to lead us off the safety car. Red Bull maybe going to spice things up for the front runners as they try and get their way through. So far it's been a fight at the front. Certainly a very interesting fight at the front. We've had crashes, we've had spins, we've had epic wheel-to-wheel racing between the 2 Williams guys, and those further back, of course, LB and Eric going side by side. But Eric with that 10-second penalty, that could be costly at the end of the race. Whether it was deserved or not, I mean, he went very sideways and then managed to get it going again and settled for P5. So maybe he can get it removed, but I'm not too sure. I think we've got one more lap under the safety car and then we'll be back under green flag racing. Just for the start of lap 9 and nearly a third of the way through the race already. Where has time gone? Q1, 2 and 3 went by pretty quickly, and I think the race is going to go by in quite a bit of a flash as well. And these medium runners, they're probably going to go, I think, to the softs for the end of the race. Mediums can last maybe around about 12 or 13 laps, so they can probably get these tyres to a good lap 20, 22 maybe, and then to the softs for the end of the race. They're going to be on lighter fuel, the tyre wear is going to be slightly easier, and they're going to be even quicker with a more nimble chassis. So, wow, definitely all to play for still in Bahrain for this season opener here in RRL. So I think the safety car should be in this lap because Delta has joined us at the back of the pack, so should be looking good to restart at the end of lap 8, going on to lap 9. And it will be Carmani that leads the way from Ben Finch, Taylor, Drizzy, Eric, Kiernan and LB and Corey, probably all of them within a shout, as the two Haas drivers have come together. There's a Brayton and Delta picking up 5-second time penalties for a collision. Lou gets a 5-second penalty for ignoring the yellow flag. So probably speeding under safety car or overtaken under safety car for Lou. But safety car in the slap, it has been conferred by race control. So Carmani controls the pace. He can weave around all he likes, but I don't think he's going to be too interested in this fight for the race lead. Let's sparks down all the way down to P8. A long train of cars. Carmani weaving around, trying to get that temperature in. As soon as the safety car comes in, he can punch it. But what he can't do is he can't punch it and then go. So he's backing off, weaving around, waiting for that safety car to come in. We're back on the green flag racing. It's a great restart for Carmani as Ben Finch tries to react to it, and he needs to get the car between himself and Taylor Hammers. Drizzy and Kiernan are both going to want to try and make amends after their mistakes in the first stint. Taylor Hammers looks briefly to the inside to defend, but nothing quite going to come in towards turn 1, so I think it's going to be stationary at the front for the time being. Kiernan looking to set up a move on Eric, maybe towards turn 4, but I think the quadruple slipstream that Eric is getting is just going to help him stay in front for the time being. But I think it's definitely between Taylor Hammers and Ben Finch for the lead of the race, as Carmani still somehow leads on those hard compound tyres, as Daniel trying to recover from his spin early on as well. Kiernan, LB running off the back of this fight for the race lead. As Drizzy gets a great drive off turn 8, can he maybe put the pressure on as Ben Finch around the outside into turn 9 and 10, goes off the track though, that could be a costly mistake, comes back on just in front of Taylor Hammers, gets a nice switcheroo on Carmani and gets himself in front and back into the race lead. But Carmani's going to come right back at him on those hard compound tyres, settles in for P2 though. Drizzy looking to get past Taylor Hammers, can he get a good run, can Eric get a good run and put the pressure on, same with Kiernan. He's going to lose out a lot because just how close the front field are. Drizzy looking to the inside, Kiernan looking to the inside. Daniel getting himself up into the top 9. As Taylor Hammers needs to get through on Carmani pretty quickly, cannot be held up for much longer because Ben Finch is going to get away. Carmani goes in deep, so Taylor's going to say thank you very much, get the switcheroo, get the exit, and get himself ahead of the Red Bull, who is going to be fighting at Eric, and the Alpine of Drizzy going to pull to the inside, dummy to the inside, get himself ahead of Taylor and maybe even potentially Carmani. Eric as well wants to get interested. 2 by 2 they go into turn 1. The Williams as well trying to get involved, might go for a switch back up towards turn 4. The Red Bull just getting involved in all of this fight for the race lead as the Mercedes stays ahead of Eric just about, but they are going to run side by side. The Mercedes wants to get in front of the Red Bull, the Aston Martin trying to stick it up the inside and follow the Red Bull through. It's all kicking off. The Mercedes still running side by side. They're going to touch wheels with the Red Bull. Around the outside goes Taylor Hammers though, who's going to get himself into P3. Drizzy as well gets himself into P2. Carmani hangs on for P3 though, as Eric tries to get himself through the Alpine of who is that actually, the Alpine of LB as well, who was already there. Kiernan dropped down to 8. P8 and Daniel right behind him, so Carmani really playing a massive factor as Eric gets himself in front, and Drizzy has managed to break free of this little train. Taylor, well, he started the attack and finds himself in P5 because of it. Carmani really getting involved with the front runners. Granted, it's his position to hang on to, but yeah, you've got to ask yourself, when is it hurting his race more than benefiting it? Because let's be honest, he's not going to be with these guys for much longer, or at least until their next stop or his next stop, because he hasn't stopped yet. Carmani, fair enough, he's definitely spicing it up as Ben Finch leads the way, 1.5 seconds clear of Drizzy, and Eric 2 seconds adrift. I think that is going to be now DRS enabled as we go our third lap after the safety car. LB now looking to get past of Taylor. Kiernan looking to get past Corey, who got absolutely swamped after the exchange with Carmani. As Taylor Hammers looks to get past him as well, closing the gap under braking into turn 1. Taylor Hammers is going to have the DRS up the hill towards turn 4. Carmani defends. Taylor Hammers closing at rate of knots. LB and the Mercedes squeezing the Alpine on the inside in towards turn 4. Just about swoops around the outside. The Alpine trying to settle in. But yeah, it's just so close and so decisive that well, any move, and that's Carmani going round on the exit of turn 7 and hasn't put it in the wall, but that's going to be a lot of breathing room for Taylor's now, who can focus forward and start chasing after Eric in front as we approach halfway through this race in a few laps time. But Carmani now out of the way of the top 7, top 8 even, as you count Daniel with DRS now enabled. But Ben Finch comfortably leading the way. LB now putting to the left hand side of Taylor Hammers, gets himself ahead into turn 11. The Alpine now with some good pace can start looking forward and maybe catching after Eric. Of course, a provisional podium after his time penalty, as Daniel has gone around again on the exit of turn 11, is tumbling down the order in the Alfa Romeo, finds himself in P10, maybe even P11. P10 I think he's going to settle for after a spin. So now it's a fight between the top 7 instead of the top 8. Taylor hammers with DRS. Can LB maybe squeeze himself into the DRS of Eric? And well, Taylor could slingshot himself with the overspeed towards Eric, unless Taylor's going to be interested in working with LB, but I don't think they are. They might even run 3 abreast, with Corey trying to find a way through, going to try and follow his teammate around the outside. Taylor gets the move done, LB on the inside, Corey trying to find a way through. There's contact and LB's been sent off and round on the exit of turn 1 in towards turn 2. He's managed to recover it well, catch the slide, so it's not completely detrimental to his race as Corey looks to the inside. Kiernan as well trying to find a way through, but LB into P7. Yellow flags through sector 1. I think Hermione spun again as Gregor sets the fastest lap of the race so far. But LB, how he caught that and is still in this race, I do not know. Just about managing to catch it, and is only 2 seconds adrift from the front pack, so still definitely well and truly in this race, and strategy, safety cars can all play a factor. If one safety car can come, and they say safety cars breed safety cars, and well, that is definitely very true from my personal experience at the very least. Drizzy and Ben pretty much matched on pace, the front two. Ben at the moment seems to be the man with the consistency, with the outright pace, but Drizzy definitely giving him a good run of his money. And I think Ben just got lucky to manage to get through on Carmani without a fight, and Taylor definitely didn't. Got held up, cost him quite a bit because of it, and same with Kiernan, who couldn't find a way through and definitely lost a few positions because of it, tucked up in DRS. I don't think any of these guys are particularly interested in going for a move. Kiernan not even activating overtake. As Corey goes very sideways, that could open the door for Kiernan. He's very close, he's going to have DRS, and I think he sees this as an opportunity to get his way through. Activates overtake. Is he going to be close enough for a move in towards turn 4? No, he's going to think better of it and work with Corey to stay with these guys, because he knows how important it is to stay within the DRS range of these guys, because as soon as they lose it, they don't really have the pace to stay with each other. So still close as ever. Kiernan putting the pressure on Corey. At 13 of 29, nearly halfway through this race now. Where has the time gone? Corey actually completely missed that. Kiernan managed to get his way through on Corey. Not quite sure what happened there. My apologies. But Kiernan now through into P5. And Kiernan looking to set aside. So VSC has been brought out after debris, I assume from one of the Haas cars being sent round. So basically race on pause now, and it's a good chance for everyone to recharge their batteries. Drizzy being brought into less than a second of Ben Finch, but I think the delta he has to adhere to, so he's not going to gain that time under the VSC. That would be quite unfair, but if he gets a good launch, maybe so, he can get himself in within DRS range. Any mistake from Ben could see the same. As we go green once again, DRS enabled. So Kiernan 7 tenths off Taylor and well within sight of the podium. Drizzy's managed to gain around a tenth or two under the VSC. And in fact, Ben is actually extending that gap. Maybe he kept his tyres that little bit warmer under the safety car. Has allowed him to stretch the gap a little bit. Now 2.5 seconds the gap at the front. Ben Finch, once he got through on Kamani, he's really shown his true pace without being interrupted by someone closing up with DRS. As Lou gets himself past LB, who has had a bit of a spin. The Alpine off of turn 10 has had a bit of a spin down to P10, so that's a shame for LB. Gone from bad to worse for the Brit, and well, that is just, yeah, that's a shame for him. because he's been driving pretty well and hasn't actually put a foot wrong for much of it. But Drizzy has disconnected from the race. He's ghosted and is falling down the order, and Eric has managed to get himself into P2, Hammers into P3, and now Kiernan overtaking Drizzy, and that is such a shame because he's been driving so well. The Alpine driver ghosted and tumbling down the order, and that is not something you want to see when it's out of your control. And Corey gets him as well, so Drizzy down to 6th, and it probably will be 7th in a few laps time, which is that is just, you don't like to see it. You don't like to see it because he was driving so incredibly well, and hopefully he can get himself back into the lobby quickly because he's still got half the race remaining and still a long way to go, so he's got plenty of opportunity to bring this one back. Is that Kiernan still on the back of Taylor? Yeah, very close to him for the podium. Going to have DRS, and I think Kiernan is smelling second place, especially after his his mishap under the safety car with the pit stop, and is looking to make it a Williams 1-2 once again. Yellow flags to the first sector. We've lost Delta. I think that's a brake just parked at the front. There's yellow flags still. No, that is Delta parked at the end of turn 1. No full course yellow though, because he's nowhere near the track. Towards corner. Taylor putting the pressure on Eric, but I think Kiernan's going to try and get the move done on Taylor now. He's using his overtake, using DRS, posing at a rate of knots. Taylor defends, Kiernan squeezes him all the way, pulls to the left hand side as they hurdle their way towards turn 1. He's going to get the benefit of the slipstream from Eric in front. Who's going to be latest on the brakes? It's going to be the Mercedes, but the Williams with the momentum keeps him pinned. Around the outside goes a Kiernan to claim P3. Is he? Taylor's going to give him a run all the way through turn 3 and up the hill towards turn 4. Both are going to get DRS. They run around side by side, but I think Kiernan's just going to etch himself ahead. Taylor back down the inside, gets it done. Bit of contact between the two as he's forced wide, but he's still going to keep his nose in and keep the foot in and around the outside. Kiernan claims P3 and can now set his sights on P2 in front and set his sights on Eric, and Taylor down to 4th to make it a Mercedes 4-5 with Corey settling in there. Couldn't quite find a way through to really benefit of it, and Drizzy's still going backwards in this race, and LB could be the next to overtake him and is the next to overtake him, which is definitely a shame for Drizzy. He's had a shout for the win maybe if Ben had a bit of an off, but Kiernan moves into a net P2 after Eric's penalty, which he definitely could get removed, and I would argue should get removed. But again, I'm assured I don't make the rules. I think Eric lost enough time just getting across the gravel anyway, so was saved by the safety car, and I don't think deserves really any punishment whatsoever. But yeah, he's driving great. He's in P2 in the Aston Martin. Kiernan as well. Anyone in the top 5 really deserves to be there alongside Drizzy. But that is Corey putting himself into the pit lane. I think he's going to go for another set of mediums as Taylor's closing on Kiernan. But the aid of DRS in front for Kiernan is going to help propel him down and help him keep that position. Corey into the pit lane, no fresh mediums going on, and he's going to try and go for the almighty undercut on all of these guys. Could be worth the risk if he can go for it. He won't have the aid of DRS train though, and that is probably what slightly is concerning. But nonetheless, can still do a lot. The undercut very powerful around Bahrain. As Taylor goes in very deep into turn 6, that's going to compromise him turn 7 and maybe make him lose touch a little bit. Kiernan all over the back of Eric. He's got some incredible pace as Ben Finch has just ran away with it at the front side of the grid. But Kiernan definitely putting the pressure on now and looking to get himself into an on-track P2 rather than just a provisional P2. Same with Taylor wanting to get himself onto the on-track podium and not just the provisional one. Kiernan still putting that pressure on. Still over the back of him. Has not got the ERS in hand, and that's the other Haas we've lost. The brake as well has gone straight on at turn 1 and has just crashed. Safety car has been brought out, a full course safety car, and I think that Corey mistimed that pit stop by just 1 lap or so. So the Haas retiring on track has triggered a lot of pit stops, and will Kiernan have to double stack again? This is going to trigger all of the front 4 to come in. Ben is in, Eric's in, Kiernan's in, and Taylor's in as well. I think they're all going to go for a fresh set of mediums towards the end of this race. Ben is in. Are the Williams crew going to be ready? just about, I think, he's going to be able to not be held for very long. Gets those tyres on, he's back down, but he's going to lose the position. It's a slow stop for the Williams crew. Taylor is going to get himself ahead. He's going to lose that position again, so it's another double stacking stop for Williams and another lost position for Kiernan. He's going to have to recover that, but Corey is going to regain himself and get himself back into P5. So Ben Finch leads the way. Eric is going to be all over the back of him though off this restart, so that gap that Eric pulled has been brought right down, and we're going to be now a fight for the race lead is back on with around about 12 laps of this race remaining, probably around about 8 laps, maybe 9 laps of green flag racing left. Could be very spicy. Kiernan seems to be the man with the pace of those from second downwards. Ben Finch just being so consistent, not put a foot wrong all race long. And still absolutely flying. And that is contact with Kiernan under the safety car. Kiernan's lost his front wing as Taylor Hammers just stopped on the track, it seemed. So Kiernan's going to have to come into the stop, and I think his race has just gone from bad to worse. He's going to have to come in, I would say, maybe for the softs. And again, nearly smacking into the back of him. I don't know why Eric is slowing down so much. Why are people running so close to each other under the safety car? This is not particularly clever. By any means. Ben Finch is running as close to the safety car as he can. I don't know why Eric is all over him, because it's just you're under the safety car. It's not like the safety car's ending, so you can afford to be a couple of car lengths back, and it has just cost Kieran his front wing and potentially even his chance for the race win. After driving so incredibly well all race long, he's lost his front left end plate and is going to have to box again, surely. Into the pit lane he comes. It's a shame for Kiernan, because did not deserve that at all, and he's going to be fighting his way back through the field. He's going to drop all the way down to the last of the actual runners. Is Drizzy back in? Indeed he is. I think Drizzy is back in. Nope, he's not. He's ghosted. No, he's not. Is he ghosted? Is he back in? I don't think he is. No, he is ghosted. I think. It's a shame because he was driving well, but one less at the front then. It seems the curse of the front runners, because almost everyone who has been up there has spun at least some point in this race or has some sort of damage. So just waiting for Kiernan and the Dafts at the backside, and we should get ourselves back under green flag racing for the final sprint, or the final third of this race. It's already been an absolutely incredible season opener. Fights up and down the field, especially at the front, and with unpredictability. Ben Finch just pulling away. Eric as well has been there, and I think we've been robbed with Kiernan and a lot of people not having the best time under safety car. Not quite sure what happened, but it definitely is a shame. We've got fans for Ben, who has been leading this race from pretty much start to now. Didn't quite get pole. I think he lined up P2. Indeed he did, lined up P2. Managed to get a good start and control the race alongside his teammate Kiernan, who's gone to hards, which is a weird tactic. I would have rather gone to softs than hards, but safety car in this lap. Ben Finch is going to lead us round. The safety car is going to come in. Ben needs a good restart if he wants to go into turn 1 unchallenged. King Eric now really tailgating him and ready to react to when Ben Finch punches it. When are we back under green flag racing? He's gone, and we're back under the green flag racing. The two Mercedes might go side by side. Eric with an incredible restart, tucked up nicely in the slipstream, using his overtake and closing out a rate of knots. He might be able to go to the left hand side for the race lead off the safety car restart. The Aston Martin on the outside, Williams on the inside. He's going to get the move, is he? No, the Williams hangs on, and the Aston Martin gets himself into P2, and the well, the Williams having to hang on as LB gets himself into P3 after an incredible restart. Corey's going to come back at him though. Defensive goes LB. The Mercedes pulling to the left-hand side, tries to swoop around the outside. The Alpine hangs on, and his Mercedes teammate is going to get the switcheroo, come back at him. JB Steve a little bit sideways off turn 4 as he's in P6 and under pressure from Carmani, who's going to go for the switcheroo maybe towards turn 8. Corey's going to fight him back though to the left-hand side into turn 8. Try and get the switch back. Not quite going to work for him though, as LB gets himself into P3. What a restart from him. Kiernan as well, looking to get himself well inside the points. Which is, yeah, it's a shame for Kiernan. Could have been better off, but definitely a good shout for maybe at least P7 as Gregors gets a good launch on these soft compound tyres compared to Lou. And it's closing. Not quite going to close enough though, but he's got the superior tyre grip. He's going to be all over the back of him. Gets the switcheroo. It's going to be the outside for turn 13. How courageous is he feeling? Keeps the foot in flat out around the outside. Claims the position. What a move from the Aston Martin to get himself in front and into P8. And now chasing after P7. Carmani in front. Taylor Hammers chasing after the podium. And Eric still trying to put the pressure on Ben Finch in front, who got the ideal restart. Managed to defend his position in towards turn 1, 2 and 3. And from there on out has controlled it, but Eric tucked up nice in the slipstream. Taylor Hammers putting the pressure on LB, who has to go defensive, brings it back to the left hand side though. Feels confident the Mercedes isn't going to send it so close under braking though. Pushes him a little bit wide, does the Mercedes, but no harm done at all. They all survive. But Taylor pushing him all the way down this straight, looking to the inside. LB thinks about going defensive, but doesn't commit fully as Eric made a little bit of a mistake, lost a bit of time. Taylor Hammers going to be one that is going to be punishing LB as soon as DRS is enabled. Could get very spicy once again. Gregors on the back of Carmani, could be looking around the outside and towards turn 8, brakes late. Gets the move done, goes for the switcheroo. He's going to have the better traction on the exit, gets the drive off, uses the ERS for this short sprint towards turn 9 and 10. Is going to be committed around the outside. Carmani gives him the space. He makes contact with Steve. Gregors tries to get the switch back. Not quite going to work out for him though, as Taylor looking to get past LB, who's weaving all over the track like a snake, trying to break the slipstream, trying to break that hole in the air that he's punching through, and allowing Taylor to close on him. Corey as well involved in this fight for P3, but I think it's between the top two. Ben Finch already out of the 1 second DRS range. Carmani trying to get past on Steve. Gregors all over the rear. Diffuser of that Red Bull pulls to the left hand side towards the final corner. Can he get the move done? He's going to have the superior tyre grip on those soft tyres as the Red Bull sends it up the inside. The Aston Martin gets the switch back, but gets a little bit too optimistic on the power, and he's spun and he's in the wall off the exit of the final corner as DRS is enabled, and he's going to be down in P11. That is a shame. Just got a little bit too optimistic. Taylor down the inside into turn 1. The Alpine on the outside gets a bit jumped over the curb as Gregors has left the session. The Alpine hangs on, but Taylor's going to come back at him now. He's going to have DRS. LB pulls to the inside. Taylor goes with him. He's all over the back of him. Doesn't know where to go. Dummies to the inside last minute. Down the gears towards third gear. Around the outside goes the Alpine once more. Corey doesn't know where to go as they're going to run side by side towards the S's. LB trying it around the outside. Keeps his foot and going to be inside again. Still side by side. The Mercedes all over the curb and down the inside for turn 8. Can he do this? This is an enthralling battle for the podium place. The Alpine still giving him a run around the outside, but the inside for turn 9 and 10. But how committed can the Mercedes be? He takes the track away from him. LB sent sideward. He's managed to catch it though, and he's only going to lose the position to Koru and maybe even Carmani, but he's managed to keep it going with absolutely no damage. And now Taylor into P3 under pressure from his teammate Koru, who's followed him through into P4. How LB has not been completely spent round as a VSC has been brought out. I think a little bit of debris on the track, but wow, LB, the fact he's made some monumental saves so far this race, hasn't he? That one out of turn 1 into 2, and that one just now to keep him in this race sideways through turn 10. Only thing that's going to be hurt are his tyres and maybe his ego a little bit. But an absolutely crazy battle for the podium, lasting pretty much the entire sector as Eric has closed the gap under the VSC to Ben Finch. He has to back off to adhere to the Delta, but he's closed the gap nonetheless. Whether that was the case before the safety car, I'm not entirely sure. But he is close. DRS is enabled as we are back on the green flag racing, and Eric can be definitely putting the pressure on Ben Finch. He's got the DRS. Has he got a drive through? I'm not entirely sure, but he's definitely closer and is putting the pressure on. Maybe a mistake from Ben that we didn't quite catch, as Carmani could definitely be within a shout for the podium. LB trying to recover. Still in sight from though. He can still see the man in P3, so it's not all over yet. Do not give up, LB. Carry on pushing through as Eric tries to stay within the DRS of Ben, but just can't get the drive off the corners. He might just be able to stay with him in towards turn 9 and 10. He is going to stay with him. He's going to have the DRS and is going to still try and give Ben a run for his money. I don't think he's quite got the pace. He's got the superior ERS and can use that to his advantage. He just needs to stay within ERS. Again, that virtual toe hook aiding him down as Daniel gets himself past LB, and maybe another mistake for LB in the Alpine, going backwards. He's going forwards, falls backwards again. He's going forwards and just falls backwards again. And that's a shame for LB. He's now under pressure from Kiernan, a man who was fighting for a podium place of not too long ago. Eric, well within DRS. He's got that 8/10. He's going to close on Ben Finch. He's going to use his ERS to try and bridge the gap that little bit more. Kamani as well could be interested in that P4 spot of Koru's. DRS open. He's using every tiny little bit of ERS he's got left, which isn't much. Only 3% and isn't going to be able to close. But Eric, wow, he's closed that gap quite a lot down this straight. Sparks flying from the Aston Martin. He's pushing so hard to close the gap to Ben, who just gets such a good launch off of turn 3 and 2. As Daniel and Kiernan are going side by side, LB's managed to get his way through side by side as Kiernan's been spun off again. And he's reset to the track, and the Williams driver definitely going to be frustrated with how today has turned out, because the win was well and truly within his grasp. But it's just not gone his way at all for Kiernan. Pit stop drama and wheel-to-wheel action has just set him back quite a far while, which is a shame, because the potential was definitely there. Same with Drizzy, had he not lagged out. Koru definitely within a shout of the podium. Same with Taylor. If Eric's penalty does not get removed, Eric definitely within a shout of the race lead, excluding his penalty. Then find the flag crowd for Williams at the front. Kiernan still within the points. Still three-way fight for the podium nonetheless. Taylor, Koru and Carmine fighting for that final podium place for the season opener. Coming on to lap 25 of 29. Only 5 laps of this race remaining. 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. DRS open for King Eric. Is he just going to try and bridge the gap a little bit slower? He could actually go for a move had he used his ERS, sorry. He's closing. Is he going to go for the move? No, not quite. Koru going to go for the move on his teammate though. The two Mercedes side by side towards turn 1. On the outside goes Koru. Taylor hammers pinch on the inside. Koru swoops around the outside to claim the podium place, and in he goes. Carmine's been sent spinning round, and LB back into P5. Koru going to hang on to that position. No, he's not, because Taylor's going to come right back at him. Then around the outside, Koru has to concede that position, and Taylor back onto the podium place once more after losing it for a couple of corners. Great bit of racing between the two teammates. We're trying to hang on for 3 and 4, which would be a great for the Constructors' Championship. Eric still chasing after that race win. Seven tenths separate the two leaders. Definitely a fight we're looking forward to. Advantage Eric in the way of ERS. Advantage Ben in the way of pace and penalties. But Eric can definitely get that removed, though. I would say he's got a viable case to get that removed, so he's going to be pushing for that on-track victory all the way through. And even though he might lose it on track, he's going to want the pride for it, because that 10-second penalty at the moment is going to drop him all the way down to around about P10 or so. Still, the on-track pride of just winning the season opener, even on track, is going to be a good confidence boost. He's got the DRS. He's closing in slipstream. It's very powerful around Bahrain, isn't it? He's closing, but not quite closing enough. And isn't going to use his ERS advantage just yet. Kiernan looking to get back up the inside of Steve and up into P8 after his second spin. And, well, it's just gone from bad to worse for him, hasn't it? Eric looking for a move for the race lead. Doesn't know where to go in relative to Ben in front. So Eric having to settle behind once again. As Daniel is on the back of LB. Not quite close enough to go for a move. The two Mercedes still very close together. With 3.5 laps of this race remaining, it's been very, very exciting. Up and down the field we've had battles, mainly at the front. Couldn't last for a better season opener, I would say, and what a track to do it at here in Bahrain. Virtual safety car though, another VSC has been brought out. Not quite sure why. Maybe there was a bit of contact and some debris has been flying off, but a VSC nonetheless. Our third of the race, one of 5 stoppages. Neutralizations to the race, I should say. But this is going to allow Eric and Ben to both recharge their batteries a little bit. Ben is going to want to get a good restart, so is Eric. Corey as well. Anyone who is close to fighting and trying to improve their position as we come on to lap 27 of 29. Eric, you can see, very eager to get underway. He knows what he's doing. When are we going to get back on the green flag race? And that's the thing with VSCs, you never know in the commentary booth when it's going to go green once again. You can only see by the minimap when it turns green. But Taylor Hammers really closed up to this fight. I think Ben is really parking it, trying to close the gap between himself and Taylor to feed Eric to the pack of walls behind him potentially. Just back him up and feed him behind, as that is Ben Finch sideways. What has happened to Ben? He's gone sideways off the exit of turn 2 and is tumbling down the order, and as we go green, so Taylor inherits P2, Eric inherits P1, and that is the first mistake Ben has made all race and is under the safety car, and it's just cost him the race win with 3 laps to go. Could not have asked for a more dramatic race. What has happened to Ben? He's been faultless all race long. He definitely deserved that win, and he just dropped it under the safety car. So it's now between Taylor and Eric for the race lead. Eric hanging on, he's got that penalty. Remember, Corey now could be close, and LB has been brought right back into this fight for the podium. It's just been drama up and down, hasn't it? You've been going forward, going backwards, going forwards, going backwards, but that's not been the case for Ben. He's been faultless all race and just dropped it under the safety car. 6 tenths separate the 2 leaders then as we come onto the penultimate lap in a couple of corners time. 8 tenths is the gap. Taylor not got the most DRS in the world. Eric, of course, with a 10-second penalty, and Taylor with a 3-second time penalty. So no matter what, LB is going to be promoted onto the podium. Taylor at the very least down to P5 with Ben a 3 seconds back, and I think his hopes of the win are definitely well and truly gone. But we've seen more bizarre things in this race. DRS open then. Taylor closing on Eric, not closing quite enough, and I don't think he's got the ERS to really attack. Closing, LB as well, closing on Koru. That will be a net P1 position between these two, in fact, between Koru and LB after the 2 in front served their penalties. So LB has the chance for the win as we go on to the penultimate lap. Taylor and Eric fighting for the on-track win and the on-track pride. And if either of them or neither of them get their penalties removed, it will be further down the field for them both, and that will be Koru and LB inheriting the race lead pretty much for free. LB needs to get his head down. He's got a little bit of ERS left to use. ERS open then for LB, closing. Not quite going to be able to close enough towards turn 11. You need a great run. So he's going to deactivate that overtake and just wait for the pit straight onto the final lap. Then Koru can't come back at him, and I think that's what Taylor Hammers is waiting for as well. He's going to use everything all at once on this final lap, as King Eric is very much burning through all of that ERS to try and maintain the gap. So is Taylor, as we now round the final corner for the penultimate time as we come on to the final lap. Lap 29 of 29. It's all been boiling down to this. We've had changes for the lead all throughout the race, up and down the field. Fights for the podium has been so unpredictable, but now this is it. 15 proper corners between one person, one man and victory. LB falling off a little bit from Koru could definitely cost him maybe even that P2 position from Taylor, who, if he can extend the gap a little bit, could see himself on the podium, which is going to be the case. Yeah, that will be the case if LB doesn't buckle up right now. He might see himself not be able to stay on the podium. It will still be a double Mercedes podium regardless of Taylor's penalty. Koru will inherit the race lead. Taylor's Hammers has been fighting tirelessly for the last couple of laps when the win has been in sight. Picked up that penalty, of course, that will cost him unless he can bring out 8 tenths on his teammate in the last sector. Looking unlikely, but he can definitely do it. He's not got a lot of ERS in the bag. LB has managed to close the gap to Koru once more. Just needs to hope that he doesn't pick himself up a penalty. Does Koru? I think Eric is just gonna about hang on to this one. There's Taylor. He's tried effortlessly. He's trying so hard to bridge the gap, but Eric rounds the final corner with the 10-second penalty. He'll drop down the field. He may get a remove, but across the line, King Eric takes the win of the Bahrain Grand Prix, followed by Taylor and Koru, who jumps to P1, and LB, who just about manages to scrape himself into P2. Taylor hammers P3 with Daniel P4. Ben Finch managing to come home in P5. King Eric in the end P6, but it's heartbreak for Finch. Absolute heartbreak. Definitely could have been his race today, but a drop under the safety car, under his own doing. Not sure what happened, but it was his own doing. And yeah, he lost out because of that. Which is a shame, but the Mercedes takes the win. Koru, a very deserved win here for the season opener in Bahrain. Lifts the winner's trophy. And well, yeah, very, very mixed up podium. It's been very much changing all throughout that race, wasn't it? I didn't really know who. Yeah, Finch going to be very sad with that one. Koru takes the win though, provisionally with LB in P2. Taylor rounding off the podium. Sears Daniel in P4. Great drive from him. Quite quiet drive, but P4 nonetheless. Heartbreak for Ben Finch, who comes home in P5 with Eric's P6 after his 10-second penalty. Carmani P7 with Kiernan in P8. Steve and Lyle rounding off the top 10. Drizzy in P11. Daff's P12 with Gregor's P13. And the DNFs is a break Delta. Jamie Alsmad rounding off the grid. Such a shame for Ben and anyone affected. It was such a roller coaster of emotion, such a roller coaster of a race. All throughout that race we had changes. Of the race, but well, I can't say I'm disappointed with the season opener for the new season of RRL. Definitely a great way to get the season underway, and we'll be Baku next, so stay tuned for that one. It's going to be one to look forward to, I'm sure. But well, Koru leads the championship then after the first round, and Mercedes will lead the Constructors' Championship as well. It's been RRL, it's been round one. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've been Zach Sweeney, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.